So hello and welcome. My name is DUBZ, also known as Dubs. Most people probably will see it as Double Bell Hat Connoisseur because that is who I am, and I love the Double Bell Hat. But enough of that. So I would like to talk about the Blaster Talk space in Ink Academy, which I feel is lacking in a lot of blaster pins and more useful tips on how to get started with the blasters. So in order to help kind of get the ball rolling in a sense, I kind of just want to talk about today about one of the blasters that I would say personally I'm more acquainted to, and that is the range blaster. So the first thing that I would like to make note is that this video will not make you like a god or an instant god, or it'll get you like a you get all these better stats just by like watching this video. This is basically just an introduction in order to just get people or like yourself or whoever is watching this who's probably critiquing it to get a sense of the bigger picture of how the Range Blaster works. So now the Range Blaster was released sometime in October, and since its release, it has shown to be truly one of the best slayers slash hole punching weapons in the game. The Range Blaster can make pushes happen, and it can also be the star of a push. So that is the main reason why the Range Blaster has seen a lot of its success throughout these few months that it's been going out. Not only that, but it's actually been nerfed twice, I believe, since its release, specifically only on the special gain. And I will, I guess, talk about that later on as well. First thing I'd like to talk about is the kit of the Range Blaster. So the Range Blaster consists of a suction bomb along with the Rain Cloud being its special, which really works in synergy with the whole entire weapon itself. I'm just going to call it for short RB simply because it does not paint very well on its own as a weapon. The RB is pretty slow as in terms of shooting. It has the slowest fire rate of any blaster, and it also has the slowest strafe speed of any blaster as well. So painting it is kind of just like a pain, and having the largest, I guess, bomb radius, which is the suction bomb, and the rain cloud really helps alleviate the fact that the range blaster can't really paint as much as all. Despite having all of this downfalls, I guess you could call it, for the range blaster, it is a one-hit kill direct shot. It's also a two-hit kill indirect shot, and it has a much farther range compared to its smaller blaster brother, which is the normal blaster that you normally see in the story mode, I guess. It should be kept in mind, though, that the range blaster does not outrange the H3 Pro or the 96 Gals, only in terms of being able to get a direct. Like all blasters, the blast radius adds a damage area of effect, or AoE, that adds extra range, so to speak, for the weapon, which does allow the RB to compete with these weapons, such as the H3 Pro 96 Gal. Of course, any weapon that can shoot farther than those weapons, the range blaster will have a little bit more difficulty in terms of 1v1ing, so to say. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is more about the basics of how to kind of get into the range blaster, how to use it, how to have an idea of what you should be doing in terms of getting kills, I'm going to say, because I'm going to talk mostly about how to get kills with range blaster, which is, I don't want to say the only thing that you should be doing, but it's a pretty good integral part of the range blaster itself. So let's continue with what I want to talk about. And so, as I mentioned before, the range blaster has been able to compete as a slaying weapon. However, I don't recommend as a range blaster user to just be a fully on aggressive range blaster, 1v1ing every enemy short range faster fire rate shooter that you can find. Like you shouldn't be really playing like that in terms of range blaster. Simply because, one, the range blaster is just god awful slow in terms of shooting its first shot, and if you were to miss that first shot, you will most likely just get killed, and you just kind of just wasted your own life in a sense. Not only that, but you also kind of wasted this special build that you built up. So it's really important to kind of just get to know the range blaster as a whole and understand that the fact that you can abuse your range and how to abuse the two-hit kill indirects that you can get with the range blaster. And I guess the next question you'd like to ask is, how do I learn to abuse the two-hit indirects of the range blaster? So basically, the best idea to get with the range blaster in order to get the two indirect kills is to just kind of get a general idea of where the enemy is moving. Uh, it's literally very simple if you've already kind of just familiarized yourself with blasters. It's just figure out where they're kind of generally going, shoot over there, and you'll probably get a little blast, and then you won't get a direct if you're just generally shooting at them. But once you get the indirect on them, you could just shoot a second time, and they'll just blow up and die, which is actually pretty simple. That's kind of just like the idea of how to abuse the two hit indirects. Your distance, your range that you get with the ranged blaster is your friend, and it's not your enemy. So don't deny your need to distance yourself from enemies or from a general area, just so that you can get just so you can get your blast out. Because if your blasts were to hit the floor, hit the wall, hit an object, what you end up getting is this thing called spark damage. And spark damage is kind of just like when the blast pellet hits a wall and it just goes like, and you don't really get anything. The most that you can get out of this is probably a 33 damage if you're even lucky. Most of the time, you just get like 25 or 20 something, which is pretty minuscule compared to the max 70 that you could get from an indirect. So keep in mind that as a range blaster, you want to learn how to keep your distance. You want to be as far as you could possibly be from an enemy that you want to attack or approach or engage in, and just learn how to kind of just get a general idea where the enemy is moving in order to get those two hit indirects and just get one kill at least. But that's just like the basic idea. Like that's where you start. That's the baseline. The next thing that I want to talk about is a slightly more advanced idea that you should keep in mind um, if you're beginning with the range blaster. But if you've obviously been playing the range blaster for quite a bit, there's this magical thing that everyone likes to hear when they shoot a blaster shot, and it's that like ching sound that you get when you direct something. The reason being is because when you hear that ching sound, that's kind of the I got a one hit direct. And for a lot of people, that's kind of like the whoa, like the wow factor. Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be that person. But back to the idea is just the whole idea of getting directs. That's the slightly more advanced thing that you should be thinking about as a range blaster, because the range blaster does shine because of the fact that it can get very long range to hit it directs, but it shines the most that the fact that it can get a one hit KO when it has to or when it wants to, and it can. So I guess the thing that you would like to ask is just like, how do you kind of just master this weird, almost mysterious directing that comes from the range blaster? Um, Frankly enough, it's not some magical thing or magical recipe that I can kind of tell you. To put it like very frankly, to put it like kind of out there, it just takes a lot of movement reading and practice, just a lot of it. You just need to get in the mindset of slowly knowing when to shoot your shot in order to get a direct on a moving target. For the most part, if you're shooting a direct on a stationary target, it's pretty easy. You can go to the shooting range and, get close enough so you get the crosshair and then just shoot and then bam, like it's dead. That's pretty easy. Almost anybody can do that. The next step is going to the moving dummies and being able to just know where they're going to move, even though they already have predicted movements, and just shoot it so you can get a direct. And if you want to just get better at directing with the range blaster, I suggest that you just start really practicing with the dummies, like the moving dummies. Just practice and shoot. Just point, think about where it's going to be, and then shoot, and then you get the direct. Um, so that's kind of just like the best advice that I can give you with that. You could also go to Salmon Run. I've heard some people have found a lot of success in going to Salmon Run whenever a blaster comes out. Hopefully the range blaster, because that's the reason why you're kind of watching this video is for the range blaster. And just predict the salmons and the little ones or the medium-sized ones, not the big ones, because no squid is ever the size of a freaking quahog. But just kind of just get the practice, get in the zone of just feeling of directing your shots, because the range blaster, like I said, is really slow. It takes forever to get ready to shoot, and it takes forever for the blast pellet to even get to where it needs to blast itself. Um, and if you miss, like, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal if you were to miss a direct on somebody, because more likely than not, you're going to end up getting an indirect, and from then you can follow up with the second indirect, and you will get the kill, the two-hit kill on it. So that's kind of just like that's kind of probably the one of the main reason why the range blaster is just so goddamn good is because the fact that it can get a direct, and if it misses, it's no biggie. It can just go fishing and get the second direct, and bam, you're like the other enemy is dead essentially. The next thing that I would want to talk about with the range blaster is this kind of thing called blaster RNG that people have complained about. And if you don't know what blaster RNG is, it's basically when you jump, the reticle that you have widens, and I guess the probability that your blast will go right where you want it to isn't 100% at all anymore. It could go straight to the right a little bit more, it could straight to the left, and that's just like a complaint that a lot of people make. You don't need to jump with the range blaster. Even in the first game, you didn't need to jump for the range blaster. It helped, it really helped, but now that it's a different game, then jumping really causes a lot of RNG. It honestly just it is not worth your time to jump and to shoot if you're trying to get a direct. The next thing that you could do as well, if you're jumping and you want to get a direct still, is just wait. So is just to wait. The reason why I say that is because when you jump, and after a while that you've been in the air, your, I guess, random RNG that you get for the blaster reticle begins to decrease. And as it decreases, it increases the chance that your shot is going to go where you want it to go. So essentially, you're going to jump, you're going to wait a little bit, and then you shoot, and then you get a direct that you want. And I just did that right now, so I'm just going to save that. That's kind of just like the advice that I can give you in terms of jumping and shooting, but most of the time I don't really jump. The next thing that I could tell you to do is something that I like to call edge falling. So essentially, edge falling is that you, instead of jumping off an edge, you swim off the edge and you let yourself fall and you shoot. And the reason why this is very useful is because if you fall off an edge, walking or swimming, there is zero RNG that is added, regardless if you are falling from the air or not. And that is honestly the greatest gift the developers could have given us in terms of like blasters. And so that's essentially just what I want to talk about range blaster. I hope I went through like enough good basics. I did not go into full detail, like no number crunching, know like exactly how many frames and all that kind of stuff, simply because one, this is a beginner's guide. I'm not making a full on professional like nitty gritty level, and two, it just I don't know. Maybe I'm just lazy. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that actually. I'm not lazy. It's just it's just a beginner. This is a beginner's guide. That's basically what I want it to be. It's a beginner's guide. Um, so thank you all for listening. I hope this was useful in some sort of way. I hope there are many other people out there, specifically other different blaster users or range blasters users, who are willing to just put themselves out there and kind of just give their advice, kind of give their 2 cents, their whole dollar, not even 2 cents, give them the dollar, to just the community, because I think it's important for a lot of people to know, kind of understand what to do and what's going on, especially for people who are just interested in getting into a little bit more competitive scene or just trying to improve their game in general. And I'd say it's kind of like our responsibility to be able to do that if you're experienced in certain types of blasters. And I hope this inspires other people. I hope this inspires you to use the range blaster. I love this weapon. It's probably the best weapon in the entire game, in my opinion. But other than that, thank you very much. Please leave a comment or a review or anything that you would like to know. Please just ping me, DM me if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to give you my advice. I'm more than happy to give you pointers or something like that. I'm not a savant at all, but I am experienced enough to know at least what I'm talking about to some extent. Um, and I just want to help. That's all I want to do. Just want to help. So thank you all. Have a nice night. Have a nice day. Bye.